Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character reader by me. So let's get into it. Child. Child actually probably opened the door in you changing more than once. And this is why you actually yell at him sometimes. And it tries to be careful afterward, not wanting to upset you or anything. But sometimes he forgets, and sometimes he forgets on purpose. Like he walks around hoping that you forget, just to open the door on you while you were changing. This time, though, was not his fault, because you didn't tell him you were changing and you did not lock the door. So he came in, wanted to rest a little bit on the bed, since he's been working and they even cooked dinner for you. But when you walked into the room, he found that you were actually taking off your shirt. And, much to your dismay, he was trying to be quiet so he could look at you. And then, after a little bit of watching, he smiled. You look better than I remember. Ajax, what are you doing in here? Get the hell out, you pervert. I wasn't doing anything. I was looking at you. You're my girlfriend, you know. Get out, Ajax. We're gonna have a talk about this. Poor Ajax, he really was trying his best. Give him a chance. Albedo. Albedo actually did not mean to do this. And maybe it was your fault since you weren't very careful. You was just sleeping in your room since you did share a bedroom and all. And you thought he wouldn't wake up anytime soon. So you began changing. And as you took his shirt off, that's exactly when Albedo woke up. Huh, bad timing. But then, he didn't even notice, because he was being sneaky about it as soon as he realized what was going on. You didn't get to see him awake at all, and he was just cracking his eyes to see you, smirking to himself. And as soon as you find the shirt you wanted to wear, and put it on, look in the mirror to just fix your hair and everything, and turned around because you felt like someone was staring at you. You found him fast asleep. At least, he was acting like it. Sent over to him, kissing him on the forehead and ruffling his hair, wishing him a good night's rest, and then you went out, and you would never know that he was watching the entire time. Wow, real sneaky Albedo. Venti, you lived on the top floor of an apartment in Mondstadt. So you didn't really think anyone would see you when you kept the windows open, not really caring about it. And maybe you should have. Maybe you should have cared and pulled the curtain or something. Because Venti was just sneaky as hell. He made himself load up to see you. He didn't know that you were changing or shirtless, but then he saw you and started looking at you with a smirk on his face. And you only found out that he was right there when you started giggling, unable to hold it any longer. I mean, he really just found funny and adorable. You didn't notice him standing and watching you all along, and he couldn't stop himself from laughing. And when he turned around, he blushed bright red. Venti, seriously? Just how long were you here for? A while? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Well, help yourself out right now, because I swear to God if you don't, I'm going to... Fine, fine, I'm leaving. By the way, you looked really pretty, Venti said, before disappearing, leaving a wisp of wind behind him. Seriously, what the hell was he on? You only had to give him a stern talking to later. But you can't help but find it funny, laughing to yourself after he left. Kazuha. Kazuha would never ever do this on purpose. He was too shy and too polite and considerate for this. But he won't actually mind watching for a few moments if you let him. But you didn't. And he was also kind of embarrassed and really shy and completely caught off guard by what he saw. So his reaction was nothing out of sorts. You were changing in your room and he just walked in, not thinking much about it. He forgot to knock since his mind was really occupied with something. and then he walked in on you, seeing you shirtless. He coughed, clearing his throat, and you could see that his face was entirely red as he turned around, covering yourself quickly. Kazuha? What are you doing here? Nothing. I'll leave. I'm very sorry. I should have knocked, he said, and you could tell he was embarrassed by the whole encounter, being really awkward. So he just let it go, deciding not to bring it up, for his sake. Scaramouche. Scaramouche did not seem like the guy who would be really embarrassed by this or get shy easily, but you are entirely wrong, because he was that kind of guy, and he felt really embarrassed the moment he had just walked in on you. He was frozen in place, like totally frozen, like he couldn't even process what was going on in front of him. He was blushing and staring, and you only noticed because he let out a cough, clearing his throat and looking away, telling you that next time you should lock your door, which he was completely right about. But then you told him that next time maybe he should knock, and he just pouted, leaving. And for the rest of the day, his face was so red and he was so embarrassed. You can't tell what was going on through his mind, but I'll tell you, he was really thinking about it. Like that whole moment. It was stuck in his mind and he was too ashamed to even admit it. Xiao. Xiao would never ever try in his life to do this on purpose. I mean, Kaza was embarrassed, but Xiao was a whole other story. He would die on the inside, maybe out of guilt, embarrassment, or just whatever mix of feelings he's going through. The moment he sees you, he just looks away immediately. It's not because you're hideous or something. He thought you were pretty. You were the prettiest thing he's ever seen. But he was embarrassed, and he was really shy. And he knew if he looked at you once, he wouldn't be able to stop thinking about it. And it was true, because he did have to see you before looking away. And now whatever you were just doing was stuck in his mind, as he saw you shirtless. So, when you actually got out, you told him it was fine since he was so embarrassed. He'd never tried to yell at Chow. He knew he wouldn't do this on purpose, and he was such a cutie pie. So he held his hand and tried to lighten the mood with him. But he couldn't even look in your eyes for the rest of the day, blushing whenever he remembered what happened. And you could tell whenever he actually remembered because his face would go so red, all the way up to his ears. It was funny, and you couldn't help yourself from laughing whenever you looked at him. But please, try to reassure him or get his mind off of it, because otherwise, he was going to be like this for the rest of the week.